Right now in Arizona, Child Protective Services has its eyes on thousands of children. Many of these cases are resolved one way or another, but in the worst cases, the children die. Some state lawmakers want to let the public know about those cases. Samuel Burke reports.
Lori Lustig is a nurse, a lawyer, a lobbyist, a former candidate for Congress, and she is an aunt. And when her teenage niece came to visit in the summer of 2003, Lori found her niece was a child in pain.
As it turned out, she had been having problems with her mom in particular that summer, and she had attempted suicide at the end of the school year and was very distraught.
But things went well over the summer, and according to Lori, her niece Lindsay didn't want to go back to Texas. So she encouraged her niece to speak with the authorities about the abuse she had suffered back at home.
And so that's what we did, and we called CPS.
The agency sent out a worker after a few weeks, and CPS carried out an investigation. The summer went on, and Lindsay was working at her aunt's office to earn some pocket money and spend time with her aunt.
And then I had spoken to the CPS worker on Friday afternoon, and she said, well, what are you going to do tomorrow? And I said, well, I might take her up to Casa Grande to the outlet stores. I didn't really want to come all the way up to Arizona Mills, but I said, we might go up there and look for some school stuff and just, I don't know, we'll do something for the day, something. She said, well, do something nice tonight. She kept repeating that we should do something nice Friday night.
What happened the next day stunned Lori Lustig. Police and a CPS worker showed up at Lori's door, took Lindsay, and accused Lori of holding her against her will. She was sent back to Texas to live with her parents. On Monday, August 7, 2003, Lindsay took the day off.
And then on Tuesday, she went to school, and she killed herself at school. She did not come home. And it was just devastating to me. I don't know what happened. And I can't get any answers because I can't get the records.
But some state legislators want to change that. Representative Jonathan Payton sponsored a bill that would open up CPS records to the public if a child being watched by CPS dies or almost dies. The Tucson Republican felt compelled to change the laws after news reports about the death of Brandon Williams and Ariana and Tyler Payton. CPS had opened cases on the three when they died.
As I looked more deeply into it, I realized there were some serious problems with the agency and how they conducted those investigations. There are problems between the communication of law enforcement and CPS. CPS had notified law enforcement they were looking for Brandon Williams, but law enforcement didn't ever notify the beat officer who happened upon Brandon's mother. And had they known that, I think Brandon would still be alive today.
As a legislator, Payton can look at CPS records, but he has to sign a confidentiality agreement, which means as he pushes for CPS changes in the legislature, he's unable to discuss the cases he's seen with his colleagues. He says his bill will show the public what he's seen in the CPS documents and help the agency improve.
Well, first of all, we have a specific bill that says you have to look at the court records to determine what the custody rights are. You have to have a process put in place where they can have missing, they can notify law enforcement there's a missing child. But I think the most important thing that we're doing is we're creating more transparency and openness in the system in which CPS records for fatalities and near fatalities will be open to the public. And what that does is when we can look at these cases, we can reconstruct what went right, what went wrong, and how we can fix it in the future. And I think that's the most valuable tool because government reforms itself when it has oversight and scrutiny.
But critics of the measure say it's nothing more than a Band-Aid that would expose CPS to scrutiny but do nothing to fix the agency's problems. State Representative Tom Chabin is a former foster parent. The Flagstaff Democrat says what CPS needs is more money.
Beginning this fiscal year, we needed 80 caseworkers, and statewide, we had 40 vacancies. Now, we want to protect children. That's what we do.
Chabin says CPS has long been neglected by the state, while other agencies receive more funding and stricter regulation.
The Supreme Court has a ratio of probation officers to the number of people on probation. What we do is we capitate the services to families in this crisis.
Some legislators say CPS already has the funding it needs, but Ken Dybert, Deputy Director for the Department of Economic Security, which oversees CPS, says it needs more money to meet national standards in child protection.
The truth of the matter, from my perspective, lies in the fact that numerous studies have been done about child welfare practice, and they've identified that one of the most significant ways to improve overall practice and outcome for children is to have manageable case sizes. We still don't have enough staff. We're about 210 staff short today because we don't have funding for the positions.
But critics say Payton's bill wouldn't help fill those positions. Representative Tom Chabin voted against the measure to open up CPS records. He says the proposal veers off course from the fundamental changes CPS needs.
That legislation has become almost as like it's a pit bull looking at a cat, and it's become aggressive and just charging after it. The release of more information to the public in Child Protective Services will not help Child Protective Services in protecting children. It may help the media selling their 10 o'clock newscast, but not the children and Child Protective Services.
But some lawmakers say the media are helping CPS make needed reforms. Representative Kirk Adams has sponsored some of the legislation aimed at opening up CPS. The Mesa Republican says the media in southern Arizona have been both responsible and helpful.
Were it not for that, this is yet another two cases, the Williams case and the Payne case, that would have been buried and we would not have known and real reforms would not have happened. Yeah, the media from time to time will sensationalize things. There's no doubt about that, but that did not happen. The media played its proper role as the fourth estate, and it worked.
Lori Lustig, whose niece died, says the media have been very responsible in dealing with CPS and other cases.
The media is very responsible in situations with rape cases and things like that. So there are times when the media can be very responsible.
Governor Janet Napolitano, publicly at least, is saying nothing. Her office says she has some small problems with a part of Payton's bill, although she does support it. But the Arizona Republic reported on emails sent from the governor's legislative team to Phoenix Democrat Chad Campbell telling him in strong terms to vote no. Campbell refused, the bill passed, and the governor's team responded disappointingly, in language more suitable to a school playground than a state capitol. Ken Dybert of DES says the agency is not opposed to Payton's bill.
We worked very actively with legislators, children's advocates, and attorneys to craft a piece of legislation that will improve the confidence in the child welfare system based upon what kind of information we can release.
The centerpiece of the CPS proposals has already passed the State House and is now awaiting approval from the Senate in the final months of the session. But Representative Payton thinks the bills will become law.
I think at the end of the day, we've got an agreement of bills that are going to be going forward, and I think we're going to be able to see those bills signed into law.
And Representative Kirk Adams says the court won't find any problems with the bill.
I think it's so well written. I think it's within federal guidelines. I think what I think will happen is we'll begin to see additional reforms come to CPS as a result of additional cases that come to light because of these laws.
Lori Lustig hopes the CPS bills pass. She also hopes that by telling the story of her niece's suicide, other families won't have to go through what she has.
We had some great times, and I love her to death, and I have her pictures out at home. And I like to talk about her because Lindsay lived, and Lindsay is alive to me in my memories, and I don't want people to forget that.
For the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and the Sandra Day O'Connor Law School, I'm Samuel Hood Burke.